I told you, you're not going to hear this much from the pulpit. But the Bible says to tell the truth. I'm trying to tell y'all because I want you to understand that your truth is bigger than what you think it is. And your ability to succeed and to thrive is greater than what you think it is. See, when you are black in America or any other impoverished culture in America, you have a ceiling. That's a lie. But the world dictates we have a ceiling. You can only go but so high. Young people, do you expect to be successful? Do you expect to achieve? Well, if you do, you got to go through those who are in front of you. In order to go through those in front of you, you got to meet them where they are. Sometimes you got to shuck and jive to show them that they mean something so that they can elevate you. But then when you get elevated, you forget where you came from. And you don't reach down, because the one thing, the mentality that we have as a black culture is it's all about me. That was taught from slavery. I get mine, you get yours. See, I want to shine and I want you to see my shine, but I don't want to help you get the same shine because then it dulls my shine. That's not truth, though. That's what we've been taught. That's how we've been. In order for you to get to where you want to get to in this world, in this life, in this country, you have to be ruthless. That's what the man has showed us. You got to go grab a people from their country and force them into labor, keep their education low, and then pump a false doctrine as if it's the correct doctrine to keep them where they are. That's why folks say, I don't like the little church. You're supposed to be oppressed. That's not what the Bible has ever said. The problem is that because we've been introduced to it the wrong way, we don't believe that it has validity to it, and therefore, unless you have the power of the Holy Spirit inside of you, there's no way to decipher the wrong that's been done. And folks have been trying to recorrect it, both blacks and whites, but the problem is that, come on, y'all, it is so engraved, it is so entrenched, it is so deep that it's hard. Even when we collect and we gather on Sunday morning, we are still segregated. Why? Because we like to hang with those who look like us. Why? Because it's more natural, it's more caring. But the reality is God never made man to separate us. But our mentality is still enslaved. That's a hard pill to swallow. Because just imagine, let's flip the script. Black people in control. Just imagine if we have finally got our first white president. Just imagine if you was running things. It will look the same as it look now with reversed color. There would be a whole Supreme Court black with one or two white folk in it. See, that's not normal, right? Because that's not how we grew up. That's not what we understand. When you watch a movie, everything on TV is all black with one or two white characters sprinkled in. When man gets a hold of it, man will mess it up. Just imagine black folks going to Europe and bringing white folks back, putting them in slavery and subjecting them to that. And I promise you, what we have now will be the same thing we'd have back then. And oppressed people trying to figure out if they can rise, because the black folks who were in charge pushed them down. Why? Because they kept them ignorant and no knowledge, and they put them in places where they had what? No hope. So it's not about the color. It's about the mentality of the man who did what he did to keep people down. And so now, when you hear corrupt white folk talk, we gangsters, we thugs, we violent. How did we get there? We watched you. We learned from you. We was hung, beat, raped. Our men lost masculinity. But yet, we free. But if you know everything that I know, how can you wake up and be intentional when it's just another day of the same old stuff? Hey, Rev, you've been gone for a long time. This is what you come back with? I'm trying to help you know the truth. Because see, when you know the truth, you can attack the truth. Not to get back at white people, but to elevate the kingdom of God. See, I can know what you've done, but don't mean I got to succumb to what you've done. And I don't have to belittle myself, or I don't have to spit venom with venom. Just because you misuse something don't mean I have to misuse it. We got to stop that tit for tat kind of situation, right? So understanding how the country was created now, when I'm looking back at black folks and I'm trying to figure out, how do you elevate when they don't want you to elevate? Well, the only way you can elevate is you got to figure out, how in the world can I have hope in something that is hopeless? I see these preachers and people, talking about the inner city and how bad the inner city is. And how can we help fix the inner city? And I've been thinking about this for a long time. I've been sitting on this for a long time. How can we help the hood? Got to teach the truth. And you're praying, ain't doing nothing. Lord, help them. Your prayers to help them. Your prayers is that's how we help the community. We just pray. I just told you that there's no hope. So you can pray, but if there's no hope, then your prayers is futile. Why? Because they're not followed up by any actions. They are thieves and thugs and drug dealers and pimps and prostitutes and hoes. And all of that is fine as long as they stay in their city. With no hope and no faith in the city. Why in the world would a young person graduate high school when ain't nothing waiting for them? The schools in the inner cities are less than subpar, which means they ain't teaching you. And then what they teaching you is not fundamental to really American history, other than what they want you to see and to know. So the smoke screen is already being placed early in your life, but unless you are smart enough to figure out it's a smoke screen, how do you get above it? And if your parents follow the same smoke screen and they have no idea, then they just tell you, well, you got to pass and you got to get good grades, so therefore you can be something, but they won't let me be nothing. I got a ceiling. And now if they remove affirmative action, I can't even get into school now because there's nothing to say you got to push me there because I'm out. I don't have no hope. I don't have no faith. Why? Because nobody truly really cares because everybody is looking out for self. And so it makes us enslaved even though we're supposed to be free. Our mentality has not gotten there. Why? Because somebody is not allowing us to get there. But Jesus said we could get there. But we have to work together. Oh, work together. That's not what black folk do. That's not how we've been taught. You got the field Negro, you got the house Negro. Even them pitted against themselves. You got the black-skinned Negro, you got the light-skinned Negro, you got the caramel Negro, you got the biracial Negro. Oh yeah, biracial, they Negroes too, right? Why? Because that's what the man said. If you got 1% of black in you, you're Negro. Why? I'm like this whole new identification stuff. As a matter of fact, I figured it out. I don't identify as a black man. I identify as a white Caucasian. But I'm looking at you, you ain't white. If everybody else can identify with a sexuality, then I can identify with a color. I don't feel black. I feel white. I like casseroles. You understand what I'm saying? If we don't ever get beyond everything that has occurred, and if folks don't address the reality of why this country is struggling, why we are where we are, if we don't stop shucking and jiving around the issues and the point, we will never arrive. You know, it's right. You should never need affirmative action, but because of white America, you did. You should have a right to go to any school if you were educated, but how can you be educated if your schools are not good? Why? Our schools have sand lots for football fields, and the upper schools have turf fields. They got good books, we got old torn down books. They get good lunch, we got whatever they got left over. They got two-parent households, we got single households. If you won't let me come to your front door, why do you think I'm coming through the back? Because I watched you and I figured if I gotta eat, if I want the American dream, I gotta make money. If you won't let me make it one way, I gotta make it another way. Tell me one person living in a hood who don't want a home. But the problem is you can't get a home. Number one, you don't make enough. Number two, your credit ain't good enough. Number three, you're the wrong color to live in some neighborhoods. That's 3 strikes. I ain't even finished all the other reasons why you can't get the home. So instead, you keep renting, which is no ownership, which takes money out of your pocket and your home, and you never see a return from it, but somebody else is eating steak while you just trying to eat. And so you tell this young kid with no education, no lack of authority, no power, and no hope, he can't sell drugs. I want to feed my family like you want to feed yours. I want a roof over my head like you got one over yours. I want to do it the right way, but you won't allow me. You won't give me access. You treat me like the only home you will put me in is an institution of prison. Not an institution of higher learning because you haven't prepared me to go into that. So then they got these standardized tests. You got to pass this test to be able to say that you even good enough to get into something. And let me just tell you, I've been to colleges. Everything you learned in college gets thrown out the door once you walk into your work of employment. Only thing college does is say this person has the ability to learn and grasp new ideas and new concepts, but it don't get you the job. Walk up in there with your high diploma, your high degree, your master's, and they look at you and you got dreads. You got some tattoos, you got stuff. You don't look like you fit here, but I got a 4.0 on my degree. But you don't fit the mold. And so you get stuck. And every day you go out to find a job, but every day you go out as you. And nobody sees you. Because you look like the person they just showed a profile on the news. You're still enslaved. We're still locked up. Our mentality is locked up. Why? Because we don't believe. We don't have full hope and faith that we can one day arrive. Look, I told you I ain't going to do this all in one day. But let me say this. The scriptures go beyond what you think. I have never been in a position where I have held white folks accountable for what their ancestors did, simply because I'm free. Everybody is based upon my meeting with them. I don't judge you because you're white. I don't judge you because you're black. I don't judge you because you're some other ethnic color. I don't judge. My relationship with you is based upon how we interact together. And the only reason it is because I'm free. I could truly be bitter based upon this country's history and hate everybody that's not my color, including those who are darker than me or those who are lighter than me. Look at the music that's put out there. Look at the television shows, the movies. It's all throughout it. The good guy, the bad guy. Those wearing white were what? Those wearing black was what? I went to Sunday school. Everybody on the picture that was on the Bible that was in Sunday school was what color? Why? Because white man wrote it. Cleopatra. I watched all of them, the Moses and Cleopatra. Everybody was white. But that's not truth. And I know. So I don't let your lie deceive me from moving forward. Why? Because my God is bigger than your lie. And he's given me the ability to learn, to have knowledge. So if we want to begin to really change some of the hood, we got to change the mentality in the hood. We got to start pouring more resources into their schools, into the homes, into the neighborhoods. If you really want to give us a fair shot, we got to put hope where there's no hope. We got to give faith in a system that truly you can hope in because you believe it will arrive. Now, in order for us to do this, both blacks and whites got to come together. That's the only way you can battle the corrupt folks. Believe me, the corrupt are the minority, but they run the majority. Let me give you one point, I'm going to get out here for today. And this is how we do. I remember when baseball strike, right? And baseball got shut down because the players wanted more money from the owners, because of what they bring, the attraction they bring, right? And they got millions. The teachers had a strike, and they got hundreds. The teachers bring more value than baseball players. or any athlete or any entertainer, because even entertainers are striking now, right? Because everybody want a more piece of the pie. They don't want this AI to take over their spot. I want to get my money, but yet these are the 1%. This is not the 99%. The 99% of us are struggling day by day just trying to make a dollar, right? So what happens is that when the baseball struck and they finally got a deal, as soon as baseball started up, the 99% poured back in, even though it meant higher ticket prices, higher concession stands, higher parking lot prices. You follow where I'm going here? If we are the 99%, we should have more power than the 1%. But because the 99% won't stick together, the 1% keeps ruling it. So therefore, if you got hopelessness in your life, well, I'm going back to the baseball game because they brought it back and I don't have nothing else to look forward to. But if they had stuck together and said, look, we're not going back to the game until you reduce the prices. Same way. If we hold ground and say, look, enough is enough. You got teachers making $40,000, $50,000 and they're teaching our young people to be who they are. And you got somebody swinging a bat, catching a ball, shooting a ball, making $30 million in a year. And I got to pay $100. If I bring my family, I'm going to go broke. But you don't have to bring your family and you don't have to go broke if you change your mentality and understand I'm tired of being stepped on. Because I promise you, if nobody went back to the baseball stadiums, if nobody went back to the football stadiums, if nobody went back to the court, if nobody went back to the movies, if everybody stopped buying music, you know you'd have to make a change. I remember the Montgomery boycotts from listening in history, and when the black folks stopped riding the bus, it hit the corrupt white man in his pocket. When he got hit, he said, "Oh, we sorry." Why? Because money ain't got no color. I'm going to stop right there today. Doors of the church are open this morning.